April 16th, 1945, a U.S. Navy destroyer. It's under attack off the coast of Okinawa. She's been hit by bombs. She's been hit by kamikaze pilots. They've crashed right into her decks. There's fires raging. Bodies, they're everywhere. The rudder is also jammed. The ship is literally going in circles while dozens of Japanese aircraft swarm around her like angry hornets. The assistant communications officer looks at his captain and asks the question everyone on the ship is thinking. Captain, do we have permission to abandon ship? Captain Frederick Becton, 34 years old, already exhausted from 80 minutes of constant battle, he doesn't hesitate with his answer. No, I'll never abandon ship as long as a single gun will fire. There's a young lookout nearby, barely old enough to vote, and he adds quietly, and if I can find a man to fire it. For the next hour, that's exactly what this ship did. This is the story of the USS Laffey, the ship that refused to die. At about 8:30, radar picked up an incoming aircraft. Actually, it picked up a lot of them. The battle that followed would last roughly 80 minutes, and it would become one of the most intense single-ship engagements the U.S. Navy has ever had. Over the next hour and approximately 20 minutes, 22 Japanese aircraft attacked the USS Laffey. Some were conventional bombers, but most were kamikazes, pilots who intended to crash their planes directly into the ship. Let's think about that again. 22 aircraft, 1 destroyer. The Laffey's guns, well, they opened up. She had 5-inch main guns, 40mm anti-aircraft guns, 20mm cannons, and every weapon on the ship was firing all at once. The noise was deafening. Shell casings piled up on the deck, smoke filled the air. The first kamikaze hit the ship at 8:42 a.m., then another. Then bombs started falling, and by 8:47, just 15 minutes into the attack, the Laffey had been hit 4 times. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. One of the bombs, it damaged the ship's steering mechanism. The rudder, it was jammed at 26 degrees to port, so the USS Laffey was now stuck going in circles. By 9:30 a.m., the Laffey had been hit by 4 bombs and 6 kamikazes, 10 hits to the ship. Fires burned everywhere. The fantail, the back of the ship, it was actually partially blown off. Bodies were everywhere, and she was still going in circles. At 9:47 a.m., 80 minutes after the first attack, the last Japanese plane finally broke off. The USS Laffey was still afloat, but barely. 32 men had died, 71 were wounded, and huge sections of the ship were destroyed. She couldn't steer, and several guns were completely knocked out. If there would have been another attack and another wave, she wouldn't have survived. But she did survive. Other ships finally came alongside to help the fires and treat the wounded. Repair crews, they got the rudder unstuck, and slowly, very slowly, the Laffey limped back towards safety. When she finally reached port, engineers assessed the damage, and they just simply couldn't believe what they were seeing. By all rights, the ship should have sunk. The fact that she stayed afloat was a testament to her crew's damage control, her design, and a whole lot of luck. The Navy gave her a new name, the ship that would not die. Captain Becton received the Navy Cross. Many of his crew received Silver Stars, Bronze Stars, and Purple Hearts. And the USS Laffey, she was repaired. She went back into service, and today she sits as a museum ship at Patriots Point in Charleston, South Carolina. You can walk on her decks. You can see where those teenagers and the gunners stood. You can see the battle damage that they actually never were able to fully repair, and all that will tell you a story way better than I could or any book could. There was 22 aircraft that attacked 1 destroyer for 80 straight minutes that day. She took 4 bombs and 6 kamikaze hits. 32 men died and 71 were wounded, and she refused to sink. All because a captain said, "I'll never abandon ship." And his crew, most of them barely out of high school, decided he was right. Well, that's the story of the USS Laffey, the ship that would not die. If you want more stories like this, especially naval battles, click here for the Barbary Wars